check.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Invictus Racing League here on Twitch, bringing you Season 12 Round 5 action from the Xbox F1 division live from Monza at the Italian Grand Prix. My name is Kieran Wright92, and as always on a Tuesday evening broadcast, I am joined by my broadcast colleague Dom the Noodle. How are you this evening, Dom?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, Kieran. Monza, Italy, the circuit speed, the Templar speed. You're looking at about 3.6 miles with 27 laps, 11 corners, 7 to the right and 4 to the left. All 3 soft dry strategy tyres are available tonight, with a dry race seeing a one-stop strategy predicted, with drivers looking to start on the softs, pitting around lap 10 for the mediums to take them to the end, or if they're starting on the mediums, pitting around lap 15 to lap 17 for the softs to take them to the end. Hards are a bit too slow around this track. It's going to take about a second and a half off your pace, so it'll be very strange to see that happen unless you're looking at first, second lap wing damage. Your average pit time is around 21 seconds, which means every single second counts. You're not going to want to be changing wings with 21 seconds of damage.
Indeed, you want to make sure that you're definitely looking after those parts of your car. For those of you who may have missed last week in Japan, it was yet another win for Liverpool Ewan 02, gaining his third race win of this season in his Renault car. The Williams of Botched Gerbil finishing in second place, with James F1 ETC finishing third in the Mercedes. What does this mean for the driver's standings, you ask? Well, currently Liverpool Ewan leading the way with 56 points. Farfu is in second on 39, with Ewan's teammate DJ Danny a further point back in third. In terms of the constructors' standings, it is that Renault team of Liverpool Ewan 02 and DJ Danny storming away with 94 points, a very, very strong 44-point lead ahead of that second place AlphaTauri team of Farfu 11 and CJ Allen, with the Williams team of Botched Gerbil and XHRC currently sitting in third place on 43 points. Do want to get a little bit of insight from you, Dom. Unfortunately, we don't have XHRC racing tonight, so Botched Gerbil will be running solo for the Williams team tonight. Is that going to change Gerbil's strategy, do you think, for tonight? Are you sort of thinking he's just going to look for points, or is he just going to sort of push and try and get that win? Try and consolidate his sort of driver standings more?
He's definitely going to have to go for the win if he wants to keep up in the constructors. With Farfu 11 back and CJ Allen both racing tonight, he's really going to have to put a performance in to keep himself within that very tight gap of, I believe, 7 points. Obviously, the boys are going to run away in the AlphaTauri a bit faster because both of them are driving. However, you know, he might just go for drivers now because of the fact that the top two teams, both Renault and AlphaTauri are literally storming away with the lead, creating that gap, which could be, with this close to the end of the season, it could be too far gone. But I mean, personally, I'd go for drivers' points here, and maybe try and nab that win just to see if we can keep the constructors close. But I mean, unless there's some really big mistakes later on in the season, such as, you know, Liverpool Ewan's wheel just turns off mid-race, or Farfu the same, and some big incidents happen in that top 3, top 4 area, he might just be too far gone.
Indeed. So as you can see, guys, the drivers are now starting to ready up for this session this evening here in Monza. I just want to make a quick note to some driver changes we have had in the F1 League. Unfortunately, VSL Wilsey and Ice Cream 05 for personal reasons are no longer racing in IRL. Wilsey's space in the Haas has been taken by St Johnston 02, so he will be making his race debut this evening, and El Senado is taking Ice Cream's place in the McLaren. So 2 brand new debutant drivers here in Italy as we now load into our qualifying session. We also do have a couple of reserve drivers racing tonight, guys. We have got Zach Tom 1802 partnering James F1 ETC in the Mercedes, and Peach, the man who was driving in that AlphaTauri last week, is teaming up with Nathan HRX in the Alfa Romeo in place of a unfortunately busy Don Crouchy. So you can see, guys, now the cars are just readying up and loading into the session. So I will take this opportunity to briefly promote the remainder of the Invictus Racing League streams. Alongside us this evening, ladies and gents, we have got the PlayStation F2 League. That is happening over on the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. If you guys do want to go and have a look at that and watch that alongside us, it is youtube.com/InvictusRL. If you are excited about what you are seeing, please follow us on Twitter @InvictusRL, on Instagram @InvictusRacingLeague, and be sure to check out the website InvictusRacingLeague.com as we get into a wet qualifying here in Italy.
Wet, definitely.
Rain, Dom.
Wet at Monza is almost as bad as wet at Monaco. It's going to be almost unbearable, especially for those who don't use traction control, because you're going to see a lot of drivers struggling with several turns in which are high speed, and the back end is just going to want to go. Yeah, like you said, we do have some driver changes tonight, and with this wet weather, if it carries on into the race, which I'm not sure, I haven't had confirmation yet, but if it does carry on into the race, you are going to have just so many of those new drivers looking to make a statement.
In fact, Dom, I can confirm, we've just been informed by the league admins that it is indeed going to be a wet race as well.
Oh, that changes everything. Yeah, those new drivers are going to be looking to make a statement here, especially against those guys on the wheel, if they use controller, of course, because they're going to have the feel in the rumble pad of the car losing grip. I drive wheel now, have been for a little while, and you can feel the car sort of go, but you don't feel it anywhere near as much as you would on a controller, for sure. So the boys on control will have an advantage, and like I said, the boys who are new are going to want to make that statement to get in with the good teams next season when we start.
As you can see here, riding on board with one of those new drivers that Dom was just mentioning, St Johnston in the Haas, taking the place of VSL Woolsey, who unfortunately, as we did mention earlier on, has had to unfortunately pull out of the IRL, but is looking to definitely come back and make a statement next season in Season 13. He has promised us all that he will be back, and he has also said he will be watching the racing here very, very intently. So VSL Wilsey, whatever you are doing, my friend, outside of IRL, from myself and Dom, good luck in whatever it is you're doing, and we look forward to seeing you back in the Invictus Racing League very, very soon, as we are about to watch the first of our hot lappers, St Johnston in the Haas, coming out around the Parabolica. Must say, the Parabolica wet, you've really, really got to make sure that you have those tyres up to temperature.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We have a yellow flag in Sector 3 already. I'm wondering whether that is possibly drivers trying to slow up and make space for themselves.
Yeah, by the looks of it, I've got track map open. It just looks like slow drivers making sure they don't get in the way of other drivers. As you were saying, turns here are fast, so you're looking at turns maybe 3, 6, 7, and, 8, 9, 10, 11. All going to be fast turns where you've really got to keep an eye on the back end of the car. I'm riding on board with St Johnston here, and I'm looking at the weather, and with track evolution, the way it's been in this game, I could see, as long as the drivers get out fast enough and there's enough of them, I could probably see some dry tires coming out in towards the last 3 minutes for sure. Because I mean, I'm seeing this big thick grey line now, and it's a lot darker than the rest of the track, which is meaning it's a lot drier, and there's a lot less standing water. So hopefully we get those dry tires just to see who's got the guts in a way to go out and try that soft to medium tire.
As we see St Johnston come around the parabolic car up to the line, the first man to set a lap time, a 1:29.529, is the time to beat.
That's scary.
In Monza.
That's scary. That's fast. 1:29.291.
Nathan HRX goes with a 1:29.2 from Nathan, 2/2 of a second faster than St Johnston. I believe Zach Tom's just put in a 1:29. In fact, he's just 1:29.5 from Zach Tom. Puts him into third. Peach in fourth place with a 1:29.7. In fact, what we'll do is we'll do that so it's a little bit easier for people to be able to see the track or the lap times. Just having a quick look at the Twitch chat. Xbox admin Fairmoto in the chat saying first wet race Xbox has had for quite some time. Can't wait to see who comes out on top tonight.
IRL Mats
as
has
IRL Mats
1:29.088.
1:29 dead. And there he is, Liverpool Ewan, the current championship leader, 1:28.7.
I'm right number
1:28.7.
And even on an outlap, he's looking rapid.
Let's go down and have a look at the man who is currently sitting in the second place in the Drivers' Championship in Farfu in the AlphaTauri. Unfortunately missed out last week. VSL Wilsey, wishing a good luck to everyone. Wish I could be here tonight. VSL Wilsey, you will be greatly, greatly missed in this race, my friend. Whatever it is you have got planned on Tuesdays, I hope they go very, very well. And we look forward to seeing you back in the IRL very, very shortly, my friend. So riding on board here with Farfu as he comes up to the Curve Grande. The very, very long turn 3 here at Monza. Coming up to the first time in split. 28.2 sector 1. That's not actually a bad first lap there by Farfu. He is possibly going to run into a little bit of traffic here though with the Williams of Bosch Gerbil. I'm not sure whether he is on a hot lap or not as he makes his way through the two Lesmo curves up towards the DRS straight. Of course, DRS will be off. DRS will unfortunately be off due to the wet racing conditions. As he comes up through the Ascari chicane here. DJ Danny puts in a 1:27.932, moves himself up to the top of the timing screens. The first man to break that 1:28 mark. What can Farfu do now in response to DJ Danny setting that 1:27, running a little bit wide out of the parabolica here on that last drive up to the line? This is a 1:28.7.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with
enough
that.
To put
Enough
to put Farfu down in P3.
Yeah, he posted a purple sector 2, so he's probably going to look at going again very shortly. He did lock up several times on that lap, and like you said, he ran wide in Parabolica, so that's going to have knocked some time off. You'll probably find he'll drop back into the pits as soon as possible, and come back out for another fast lap, hopefully on the dries, when this line starts to dry up a little bit.
Indeed, the rain still falling here though in Monza. I'm not sure whether we will be getting those dry tyres. Dom, obviously, with the analysis side of things, knows the F1 game just that little bit better than I do. Let's see if we've got anyone else who is currently on hot laps. Let's see what Liverpool Ewan is currently doing. Liverpool Ewan has just gone 4/10 faster in Sector 2. As he comes up towards the line, Liverpool Ewan half a second faster, 1:28.2. Still 3/10 off of his teammate though. DJ Danny still leading this qualifying session here in Monza.
Yeah, I'm looking at El Sendo at the moment, and I mean, I've got the fitted tyres shown on my screen, and he's on 2-lap old intermediates, and still hasn't posted a lap time, so I'm thinking he's invalidated 2 laps to get where he is. But I mean, he hasn't invalidated this one so far, and he's posting some pretty fast times, so hopefully he crosses the line in the top 10. That's what he's going to be hoping anyway. With DJ Danny keeping up on that top step, so we'll just have to keep an eye.
On up to line now, out of the Parabolica, he's going to set himself a 129.339, which is enough to put him just behind his teammate Sir Sharks in P11. Thing obviously here with a wet race, we do know that it is going to be a wet race. Do we think drivers are going to keep the possibility of the track drying up in the back of their mind?
Sure.
More importantly, with this being a full setup, so the drivers are able to change their setups here, where are you looking to try and get that middle ground between the wet strategy and the dry strategy?
Well, obviously we've been told it's rain. We haven't been told how heavy that rain is going to fall. We have just been told it's going to fall. If it falls heavy, we won't see a dry strategy. We'll see an intermediate strategy later on, but we won't see dry. If it's raining light like this, or just a bit lighter, we'll see a softer strategy come in later in the race, probably around the lap 19-20 mark. So if it is a lighter rain, then you'll be looking at maybe just bearing it out on a wet strategy. But it really does depend where that rain is going to stop. If the rain's going to stop early enough, you'll see people going out on their dry strategy, on their dry setup. But if it's stopping too late, you'll just see them bear with that wet setup for just a few extra laps.
Sorry, Dom, just going to quickly interrupt in front of you here. Farfu currently leading the session now with a 127.7. Lost the back end of his car going out of that first Lesmo curve and has had a little bit of wing damage here. I would assume that he is going to be looking to come into the pits anyway after setting that hot lap, but surely that's not going to be good for him if he did want to try and set a back-to-back banker time and try and see if he can make himself just that little bit faster.
I mean, 6 minutes and a half left to qualify, and I don't see him coming out for another lap unless, like I said, it dries up. And I mean, the pit lane is still very, very, very wet. So I don't know, possibly. But at this point, I don't think we're looking at a soft strategy for the remainder of qualifying.
Just going to ride on board with CJ Allen here, Farfu's teammate. He is currently in the pits, yet to set a lap this qualifying session. He has had 2-lap old intermediate tyres. I'm wondering whether, if we have a quick look at the, if I can get Dom, sorry, to have a quick look at the race director, could you confirm whether or not CJ Allen's 2 laps so far have unfortunately been invalidated?
Yeah, he posted a 1 minute 31.308 on an invalidated lap time and a 1 minute 42.808 on another invalidated lap time. So I'm guessing the second one, it was very much an early on, and he just kind of gave way. But the first one is within the time frame in which he may have just given way towards sort of the last sector. That's probably where he's invalidated it. Comes out now, he's fitted himself a fresh set of intermediates, so you know, whenever now, I believe.
Indeed, moving into the final 5 minutes here of this qualifying session here at Monza. This is the Invictus Racing League Season 12, round number 5 here from the Italian Grand Prix. I am Kieran Wright92, your lead commentator, and joining me on analysis, as always, on an XBox F1 night is, of course, the wonderful Dom the Noodle, as we are here with DJ Danny, about to set another hot lap here. We will ride on board with DJ Danny coming up through turns 1 and 2. Currently 2/10 back from the current session leader, Farfu, who is of course the man just ahead of DJ Danny in the Drivers' Championship. So Danny definitely looking to try and see if he can get that edge over his rival going into the main race itself. Very nice line there through turns 4 and 5 from Danny. Coming up through Lesmo 1, trying as hard as he can not to hit those rumble strips, because they will most definitely send your car sideways. Going up down the curve here now, on towards the end of sector number 2 here. Just under 4 minutes left in this session. He is 6 thousandths of a second faster than his current lap time. Yeah, that would be off of his delta. As you come up to the Parabolica, is he going to be able to make any more time? As we come round the Parabolica, don't want to get onto the power too early. DJ Danny now puts his foot down, trying to push up to the line with a 1:27.65. DJ Danny takes provisional pole position here in Monza.
Just for a quick thing there, 653, so a thousandth of a second faster than previously stated, but CJ Allen's posting his lap time. He doesn't seem to have invalidated it just yet, so fingers crossed he's not going to do so this lap. But yes, this will be his first lap.
Indeed, we will ride on board with CJ Allen as he makes his way through that second Lesmo curve and down the sort of semi-back straight here up to the Ascari chicane. This is probably where quite a few drivers are getting caught out. Probably on the second part of the Ascari chicane, running just a little bit too wide on the rumble strips, which is obviously going to invalidate your lap times here. As we see CJ Allen come around the Parabolica here. Again, just like we said with Danny, trying not to get on the power too early. Little bit of wobble as he came out the back end of the Parabolica there. CJ Allen crosses the line. 1:28.698. Enough for P7, Dom.
Yeah, much respect for that. You know, 698. They fast. Also a bit of a meme. So, James F1 ETC is on a fresh set of intermediates as well, and he's on an outlap. And with Faster, I believe it's the same. He looks to be on a fresh set of intermediates too, and he looks like he's already on his flying lap.
Let's have a quick look at Move Faster then, as he is probably slightly further up the track.
It's been invalidated.
He's indeed.
It is indeed invalidated.
Possibly ran wide through the Ascari chicane, and as a result, Mufasa has decided to come into the pits. DJ Danny, I would assume that he is now on an in-lap. Have we got anyone that looks to be, in fact, I believe...
St. Johnston, 02, looks like he's on a fast lap. Just started it by the looks of it as well.
Let's have a look. Yep, as he moves up through the Curve Grande in turn 3 here. Into the final minute of this the qualifying session in race 5 here of season 12 in the Xbox F1 League here with the Invictus Racing League. I am your host, Kieran92, joined as always by Dom the Noodle. This is our regular spot on a Tuesday night. On Thursday night here on Twitch, you will see the realistic performance with our broadcast colleague Andrew making his commentary debut. He has told me he is going to be in chat watching as he, quote, the pros do it. If you're looking for the pros, Andrew, you're definitely in the wrong stream, my friend, but I appreciate you popping in anyway. In fact, I have just seen him in chat. Can't wait to be commentating the race on Thursday. I'm sure you'll be very, very good, my friend, and we will definitely be keeping an eye as the falls here.
Yeah,
qualifying here.
Good point. Hammer's fallen, and St. Johnston 02 has invalidated his lap, and has not only invalidated his lap, but has been beaten by both CSR Maitland and Jamie29X for that position 5. He's not going to be happy about that.
No, so with this, DJ Danny looking to have provisional pole. We are just going to wait and see if the last few drivers on track, see if anyone can possibly make a inroads into DJ Danny's time. We have got yellow flags here in Sector 3. Slow moving car on the right hand side of the main straight here. But it definitely looks like DJ Danny is going to get that pole position here in Renault, being joined on the front row of the grid with his teammate Liverpool Ewan and Farfu in the Alpha Tauri. Going to be finishing first. No, it is not! Liverpool Ewan was behind his teammate. I was looking to see whether Ewan was going to come into the pits. Ewan decides not to come into the pits because he knows he's faster than his teammate. Liverpool Ewan at the death here in Monza, taking pole position away from his teammate DJ Danny.
Yeah, by 9
Your thoughts, Dom?
hundredths of a second. Oh, Danny's going to be fuming with that. But both happy at the same time. I mean, that front row is basically, if it's raining heavy enough, is going to be the safety car row of the grid. Bright yellow, you can't miss them. Would have been nice to see at least one of them back a bit further, but I mean, you have El Tornado, who's bright orange, so you're not really going to miss him. But yeah, that's gut-wrenching for DJ Danny, and Jamie 29X is about to be lifted into his pit box by the looks of it, so we are going to start the race momentarily.
Indeed, riding on board with Sir Sharks here, the last man to cross the line, who's got himself a P5. Very, very strong qualifying there by the McLaren driver. So as you can see, Liverpool Ewan with the pole position win there. DJ Danny just behind him, 9 hundredths of a second behind his teammate. Farfu in third, James F1 ETC running out that second row of the grid. As you can see, the guys down at the bottom, it is the Ferraris who are going to unfortunately be at the back of the grid. The team of Mufasta and Saini getting the better of his teammate here in Monza. As we get towards the end of the session here, guys, just going to, as always, give the shout-outs, give the promos for the Invictus Racing League, give you a little bit of an idea of the weekly schedule for the Invictus Racing League. So on a Monday night, you have got the PlayStation F1 streamed by Gareth and Sab over on the YouTube channel. PlayStation F2 is running alongside us today with Malk and Nitro Gash again on the YouTube channel. At the same time, of course, you have myself and Dom here on Twitch. On a Wednesday evening, you have got the PC F1 League. Streamed by J. Cole and Dan on YouTube. Thursday nights back here on Twitch will be Andrew hosting the Realistic Performance Leagues, along with PlayStation Realistic Performance being streamed by Tim and Malk over on the YouTube channel. Once again, that YouTube channel, ladies and gents, is youtube.com/InvictusRL. And if you want to get involved on the socials, it is Invictus RL on Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Instagram, and the website, as always, is InvictusRacingLeague.com. Fairmoto in chat, this is going to be fun. Indeed it is. Wet race here.
I'm really, really hoping that they have been instructed to ready up.
That's what I'm hoping, Stallion, possibly with that slightly early ready up. I hope that wasn't an early ready up from Stallion there.
It was. Fairmoto's just messaged in the DMs, in the driver's room, stating such a thing. However, I mean, like I just said to one of the boys, it's a wet race. Whilst we're on the formation lap, it's a wet race. You're going to be braking sooner into turn 1 anyway. This isn't time trial, which all these boys would have been practicing. So the car's going to be heavier with the fuel load, which means braking's going to be even earlier even if they have practiced under time trial wet conditions. So you're going to be looking at maybe the 200 board for braking.
So that is, yeah, as Dom says, with these wet conditions, especially with the heavier fuel load, or the heavier weight load on these cars with a full tank of petrol, you are definitely looking to move those braking zones back just that little bit more, just to ensure that you don't get yourself into any trouble going into that first in turns 2. XHRC in the chat. Sorry I can't make it tonight, lads. Let's go Bots Gerbil. XHRC, the other Williams driver, showing that love for his teammate Bots Gerbil. HRC, hopefully we can see you back in the car next week, my friend. It's a very real shame that you're not able to race tonight, my friend.
It really is.
As we see Ewan coming up through the Ascari chicane here. Obviously, you don't want to be sitting in your pit box for too long here, so I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing Ewan slowing up a little bit and trying to hold up this field just that little bit, as the Ferraris at the back of the grid are still only halfway through Sector 2.
Yeah, he'll be holding up just to make sure that they don't keep those tyres cold off the start. Also here, I mean, wet conditions, heavy cars, always the chance of a safety car. Possibly cold tyres depending on how long they've got to sit on the grid. I would be willing to bet that not many people are going to be using their ERS deployment at the start of this race, just to make sure that they're not carrying too much speed into turn 1. Your best bet is to probably wait until sort of everyone spans out a little bit, then start looking at using it. But personal experience has told me such a thing. These guys might see it differently, and well, we'll just have to see.
Indeed, as we see the last few cars just making their way up to their pit boxes now, move faster. Just being the last man there to take his grid slot. Liverpool, you in there, your current pole sitter and championship leader, as we get ready for the 5 red lights.
Yeah, I think
and this is season 12. Round 5 action here in Monza at the Italian Grand Prix. 3, 4, 5 red lights are out, and away we go here in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. A pretty poor start there from Ewan. DJ Danny very much getting the jump on his teammate. Ewan getting swamped here by James F1
the swing
ETC.
damage in the back of the pack.
Ooh.
It's just bouncing. It's an Alfa Romeo. It was playing a game of tennis between the cars. It was Nathan HRX's front left sideboard. That's the only piece of wing damage I can confirm as of yet, and it's paying the toll. He's just hit the grapple at a high speed.
Very poor start there from Liverpool Ewan, moving himself down to 4th place as James F1 ETC, the man who took the 3rd step on that podium last week in Suzuka, currently leading the race 6 tenths ahead of DJ Danny in the other Renault. With Farfield back in 3rd, Liverpool Ewan trying to see if he can close the gap to that AlphaTauri as we come up to the... For the first time in this race, as always with these 50% races, it is 27 laps of the circuit here. Oof, James running a little bit wide there on exit of the Ascari chicane. That's lost a little bit of time to DJ Danny. Have you got anyone that you've got your eye on at the moment, Dom, possibly further down the grid?
Yeah, the 2 lads with damage, both Raza 410 and Nathan HRX. Those are the only 2 I can confirm right now. I've been trying to get angles on the other cars, but I don't think they have. We'll see as they maybe look to come into the pits now. Yeah, you've got Nathan in the pits, and that's it. I genuinely thought Raza would come into the pits at this point. He's missing the front left board, the same as Nathan. And Nathan's taken that plunge. Oh, there's been a spin.
Oh, we've had a spin there. There has been a spin. I think that may have possibly in the Williams.
You know what? I don't think it was. It looked like a Haas.
Possibly then the Haas of... If it was a Haas, and I'm assuming it would be St Johnston.
It is. He's missing the front right.
St Johnston.
He is missing most of the front right of his wing. There's a sideboard missing. There are fins missing. He is severely understeering here, and he's paying the price for that incident, just trying to be too fast. And he's a new driver.
Oh, we've had a slight disconnect there from Move Faster.
I'll see what I can.
I'll try and see if you can possibly see if you can get him involved as well. So St Johnston here, we are expecting him to come into the pitch. You can see that damage on the right hand side of his car. The damage to that end plate. It's not ideal as DJ Danny sets a 132.8. Moves himself back up into P1 here. But coming under pressure now from James. James had a little look on the outside there. Going into turn number 1, thought better of it. So your current race leader is DJ Danny in the Renault J. ETC currently in place representing the Mercedes team, with Farfu in the Alpha Tauri in P3.
I can sit here and tell you now that Farfu is not liking this rain. It has been lockup after lockup after lockup for him tonight, and it's just going to get worse as those tyres get older. Everything is going to be a lockup, and he is really going to hope that this rain really lightens up, because if not, it's going to be too late.
Do you think that could possibly be something to do with the setup that he's chosen for the race? Maybe banked that little too much on the prospect of it possibly brightening up and drying out towards the end of the race?
I don't think so. I think it's the wet conditions. He hasn't adjusted his brake bias the way he wanted to, and it's causing a bit of a knock-on effect where he's got too much brakes he's got too much on the braking zone at the front end of the car, which means that the wheel that's currently not got as much pressure in it in the turn as the other one will then lock up because there's not enough weight on it to keep it planted. So henceforth the lockup, and it's just going to cause knock-on effects for his tyres.
Indeed, we have got a yellow flag in Sector 3. It may have been just a slow moving St Johnston down in P19. Just having a quick look in the driver's room on the Discord server. Unfortunately, Mufasta's game has crashed. I'm not sure whether Mufasta is going to be able to get himself back in time. So Mufasta's car, currently in P14 for that Ferrari team, is now unfortunately at present being controlled by an AI. Of course, if Mufasta is able to get himself back into the game quickly enough, he will be able to reassume control of his car.
Yeah, and like they say, for Formula 1 leagues, you're looking at about 90% race completion, if possible. And that's just most, that's not all, that's most. So if this one's a bit stricter, then he might be in a bit of trouble.
I wouldn't have thought so though. Running on board with Liverpool Ewan, our current championship leader, trying to chase down the man who he's just ahead of in those driver standings in Farfu. Currently a second between those two cars after that very poor start by Ewan. Do you think it was just a case of Ewan was a little bit too slow off of the lights?
I did see the start. Ewan did definitely bog down. There was a lot of clutch control there, which wasn't quite working for him. I mean, in the wet before, I've had the gearbox not select the gear. I've had that in the dry as well, but I've had it not select the gear, and I've also sat there in the wet and just tried to feather the throttle, but it's not worked because people who have traction control just don't need to. They can just put the throttle down and go. So he's definitely suffered, I'd say, with the lack of traction control here in the wet. But Mufasa's regaining control of his car now by the looks of things. So just watch to see if he closes that gap to Staney in front of him. There's a 2-second gap, and it seems to be increasing by the looks of it.
I'm wondering whether there's possibly some damage to his car. We will just quickly run over and have a quick look. Can't see any damage to his car as DJ Danny puts in a 1:31.6.
That's 2 seconds, give or take, slower than qualifying time, with a full tank of petrol. And
that is just insane.
Yeah.
To be within 2 seconds of your qualifying time within 6 laps of the race beginning is, from my experience, unfathomable.
Yeah, for sure. He's... I mean, you gotta think, in qualifying, you've got limited fuel. You're not really using much, you're only using enough to get round on a slow out lap. Put a fast lap where you're using all of the rev limiter, and then using it to get back into the pits on a slow lap, and you can use low fuel mode for that. So, I mean, there's that. Then there's the fact that they use an unrestricted fuel mix 4. No, an unrestricted, a restricted, race restricted fuel mix 4, and ERS deployment 2, which is their hot lap deployment, which basically allows their ERS to be active for the whole lap, meaning that they've got some extra power from that electric engine, from that battery, just to get them past. And we are picking up time penalties here, like you pick up your groceries rather quickly.
Yeah, very, very quick succession there. You did see James F1 ETC, and I believe it was Jamie that got the other one. Both getting 3-second time penalties for multiple warnings. St Johnston now picking up one as we ride with this little battle between Peach and Zach Tom. Peach driving that Alfa Romeo this evening, with Zach Tom just behind him in the Mercedes. That battle for that final points paying position. Peach currently leading that, but these two have had a bit of a ding-dong battle as Liverpool Ewan makes that move on Farfu. Farfu very quickly winning it back though, coming out of turn 5. This is a very, very close battle, and now just behind Liverpool Ewan, he's going to be able to see him in his mirrors. It's Farfu's teammate CJ Allen. Could this be an AlphaTauri little team move here to try and see if we can get if they can get CJ Allen in front of Ewan, to then possibly try and hold up that Renault and enable Farfu to maintain a larger gap between him and his championship rival?
Yeah, definitely. It's not illegal to hold up a driver, and as a front runner, to allow your teammate to pass both of you. I mean, Farfu has proven this season so far, in every race he has raced, that he is a faster driver than his teammate, as in some sort of way. So I mean, he could hold up Liverpool Ewan here and just sort of allow CJ Allen to pass, and just then hunt his teammate down for a little bit, and maybe play that cat and mouse game with his teammate, just to make the race just a bit more interesting for us, seeing as every weekend we do request that they put on some kind of show for us, and if it means that teammates have to do it, teammates have to do it.
Indeed. Saying that, Farfu has not really been able to lose Ewan just yet. It's more the fact that you're going to lose CJ Allen here. Liverpool Ewan starting to try and pull away from that AlphaTauri just that little bit. Try and create a little bit of breathing room to be able enable him to try and make that move on Farfu. Farfu with his ERS deployed as he comes down the back curve here, up towards the Ascari chicane, spots his braking zone through the Ascari, and just see how much pace these cars actually maintain as they come through these corners. As we come up to the Parabolica, and that gap now between Ewan and CJ Allen is a second. Liverpool Ewan able to pull out a pretty decent lead now over CJ Allen. But as we move on to lap number 9 here in Monza, it is DJ Danny with just under a second's lead on track anyway from James F1 ETC. We do know that James does have that 3-second time penalty though. We just have a quick look there on the penalty screen. You can see 3-second time penalties for James F1 ETC. Botch Gerbil, Raza, El Senado and St Johnston, with Jamie 29X maintaining 6 seconds worth of penalties at present. So with those penalties taken into account, that is going to be a 4.4 second lead for DJ Danny at present over James F1. Is there anyone else you've got your eye on at the moment, Dom?
Not at the moment. I was just sort of looking through my telemetry options here, and I was just going to give you a rundown. So DJ Danny's gone up a place. James F1 ETC has gone up 2 places. Farfu has held position. Liverpool Ewan has dropped 3. CJ Allen up 1. Maitland up 2. Searshark's down 2. Gerbil, Botch Gerbil up 4. IRL Matt's up 7. Now that's impressive. Peach up 1, Zach Tom up 2, Stallion, Staney and Mufasta all up 5. Now this is where it gets a bit interesting. Jamie 29X is down 8, Raza 410 is down by 1, is down by 3, Nathan HRX is down by 8, and St Johnston 02 is down 10 places. That is double digits, and he is not going to be happy about that. But I mean, looking at the at the races it is, I mean, Peach and IRL Matt seems like your best bet for some kind of battle at the moment, with just a half-second gap between them. Only really increasing to at most about a second. And I say that literally just as Peach comes out of turn 2 and spins. Not spins, but the back end sort of goes wobbly.
Indeed, we can see that last 5 drivers there from Jamie 29X have stopped. They have made that pit stop, which could be the reason why some of those drivers have lost as many positions as they have. We are currently riding on board with Pidge. You can see the Red Bull of IRL Matt just ahead of him on track as these cars come up to the Ascari chicane here on lap 10 here in Monza. This is the Xbox F1 Racing League here at the Invictus Racing League. I am your lead commentator, Kieran Wright 902, joined as always by Dom the Noodle. If you guys are interested in getting involved in Invictus Racing, please be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel, in youtube.com/InvictusRL. Hit us up on the social medias at InvictusR, Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Instagram. The website is InvictusRacingLeague.com. Myself and Dom will be here every Tuesday night whilst the season runs on, giving you the live Twitch coverage of the Invictus Racing League Xbox F1 division. Our broadcast colleague Andrew will be making his debut on Thursdays, as unfortunately Jamie 29X possibly lost it out of the Parabolica.
Yeah, I was riding on board with El Senado when that happened. He was right behind him. No one's fault at all, apart from Jamie's. He's kind of come out of the Parabolica, just put too much power on, and the car's gone straight into the barrier on the left side and lost it.
So virtual safety car out here in Monza. That's probably going to take a little bit of time for the guys to be able to, well, for the game to register that that car has been cleared. Could this now possibly mean some of the drivers may think about coming in? Some of those leaders may possibly come in for another set of intermediate tyres, or would you be looking to try and stay out? In fact, no, DJ Danny has come into the pits. DJ Danny in the pits here for the Renault team. James F1 ETC following suit. Liverpool Ewan, obviously the teammate of DJ Danny, not wanting to double stack those Renaults, so he will stay out and regain the lead here in Monza at the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, CJ Allen.
The virtual safety car ends.
Yeah, CJ Allen's done the same. He didn't want to double stack, and I can tell you that most riders here haven't wanted to double stack. move, because there was the virtual safety car meant that everyone had slowed down a little bit, even if it was for a couple of seconds. That couple of seconds is the big difference. So you'll find that drivers like DJ Danny and Farfu, who are contending for the driver's standings and the constructors championship too. You'll find that those two now are at the advantage against their teammates, who will have to do the full unrestricted pit stop. So they're going to be against the crowd, against the run in a way, because I mean, when a virtual safety car comes out, you have to slow down, right? So all the other boys had slowed down, but when those two come into the pits now, no one has to slow down. So those teammates are going to be a lot faster.
Yeah, with the virtual safety car, of course, everyone is limited to a delta time that they have to set. As a result, most lap times are slower, which means your time lost in the pits is significantly less than what it would be, as CJ Allen gets himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Wasn't able to slow down that car enough as he came into the pits here on those 12-lap old intermediate tyres. Botch Gerbil has also come into the pits in that Williams. So we have now got that Renault 1-2 once again. Liverpool Ewan in the lead as DJ Denny comes up through turn number 2, trying to hunt down his teammate and regain that top step in the race. We are here on lap number 13. Have you got any battles that you can see possibly happening? In fact, as I say that, little side-by-side battle here going on between CSR Maitland and CJ Allen as we come into the braking zone of turn number 4. Maitland getting very, very close to that AlphaTauri of CJ Allen, going up through the Lesmo curves. Running a little bit wide there on the end of Lesmo 1. You don't want to get too close to those rumble strips because you can end up losing control of the car. CSR Maitland deploying his ERS now, trying to see if he can stay within the closest gap to CJ Allen as he can, to try and see if he can gain that slipstream off of that AlphaTauri as we come through the Ascari chicane. And it is now the long run up to the Parabolica. CJ Allen, though, looking like he is able to drop Maitland. Let's just have a look at the intervals between the drivers instead. Yeah, the gap between the two drivers has now opened up to over a second. As IRL Matt has come into the pits, CSR Maitland moves himself up into 7th place. We're going to have a quick look at Farfu, who is just under a second away from James F1 here in 3rd place. If you're Farfu now, are you looking to try and maintain those tyres, knowing that also with James having that 3-second penalty? Just make sure it is still just a 3 penalty. It is just a 3-second penalty from James. If you're Farfu, are you looking to now just try and stay within 3 seconds of James and take that 3rd place on penalties, Dom?
I mean, if I was Farfu, I'd be just taking a sidestep, just out of the way, because at this point James knows that even if he stays where he is, he's losing that position, right? So if James can just if Farfu can catch James, and if James just sort of moves to the side and gets out of the way, and Farfu can go for it, I can't see why Farfu can't start to push that car. But with the rain getting heavier, we might be looking at wets.
You can definitely see that the rain is starting to possibly come down just that little bit heavier now in Monza, as DJ Danny has set another fastest lap of the race. We will just have a quick look and just see what that fastest lap was.
130.
130.1. 130.1. Insane lap time. If you go by the comparison of Liverpool Ewan, Danny's teammate, Liverpool Ewan's fastest lap so far is a 131.2. DJ Danny holding a 1.1 second lead over his teammate in terms of a fastest lap, as Farfood getting very, very close to the back end of James there. This is now a battle for second after somebody has popped into the pit. I do apologise, I wasn't able to see who it was. I believe it may have possibly been Matt.
So Matt's popped into the pits about a lap or two ago, and so James was hunting down Matt's, deploying his ERS to catch him, changing into Fuel Mix 3 to catch him, and didn't realise that he hadn't quite pitted yet. So when Matt's then went into the pits, you could see the sort of frustration on James as he sort of instantly turned off his ERS, dropped down his fuel mix, and just changed a few little things to stop himself from being as aggressive with the car. So you could tell that he was slightly frustrated with that. But I mean, this top three is looking very kind of spicy in a way.
Indeed, this will be back-to-back podiums for James F1 ETC. Obviously got himself that third place in Suzuka last week. Looking to possibly follow this up with another third place today. Actually, looking at those time penalties, it wouldn't be. With that 3-second time penalty, James would unfortunately be dropping out of the top three. He would be dropping off of the podium. The gap to Farfu being 6/10 and Liverpool Ewan being 1.2 seconds further behind. That is only 1.8 seconds, so both of those drivers would end up overtaking James here. We will quickly go and have a look at our race leader, DJ Danny, with a 6.6 lead over James here on the lead of this race. Coming up towards the end of lap 16 here in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, as CSR Maitland picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Quite a few drivers, as we can see, currently holding penalties. It's a 3-second penalty for James, 5 seconds for CJ Allen, 3 seconds for Maitland, 3 also for Botch, Gerbil, Mats, Stallion and Saney, as Liverpool Ewan puts in a 1:30.0. 1:30 dead to take that fastest lap of the race. Think now we're going to look to see Liverpool Ewan try and close that gap. In fact, he has tried to close that gap. He is right behind Farfu now as they come through the Grande Curve in turn number 3 here on lap 17 here in Monza. Is Liverpool Ewan move down the inside of Farfu into turn 4? He does not. Decides to stick behind him. Going to possibly look to make his moves into the Ascari chicane or around the Parabolica, I would have thought, as these cars go through Lesmos 1 and 2 here towards the currently inactive DRS straight due to the wet weather conditions here in Italy. Liverpool Ewan getting very, very close to the back of Farfu's car now as they come up through the Ascari chicane here on lap 17 here in Monza. Ewan just trying to see if he can close that gap. ERS deployed, trying to get as close as he can to the back of that AlphaTauri as they come back into the Parabolica, turning off the ERS here, looking for the perfect time to be able to put his foot down on the accelerator to possibly make a move. ERS back deployed by our championship leader as he closes that gap to Farfu. Is he going to be able to make that move into turn 1? Getting very, very close to Farfu now. Moves out to the inside of turn 1, but is Farfu able to close the gap? Oh, Farfu just able to shut the door there on his championship rival. Farfu maintains that second place. And all the while these two are fighting, this is helping James F1 because of course he's able to try and push away from these two as the cars are now side by side into turn number 4 and 5. Is Ewan able to get ahead?
No, he's at the gravel.
This is such close racing between these two drivers, your two leaders of the championship, P1 and P2 here. Liverpool Ewan currently leading the Drivers' Championship. Farfu in second, was unable to race last week in Suzuka. But surely now Farfu has to be a sitting duck going into the Ascari chicane here.
Oh no!
Liverpool Ewan under braking.
Oh no!
That is a very, very strong move. And oh no, from my broadcast colleague. Dom, what have you got for us?
Giving it away, but I mean, Peach is just picking up penalty after penalty here. He's pushing every limit he can to get to Zach, and if he carries on this way, that back end I just saw slide is because it was slidey, and I mean it was an almost spin. So he's lucky he's managed to keep it behind Zach, but Zach almost done the same thing. So you're lucky you didn't see 2 accidents and a safety car there. That was lethal.
This is the battle for 11th place here. Battle for 11th there. Page trying to hunt down that Mercedes of Zach Tom. Guys in the Twitch chat, very, very appreciative of that battle between Farfu and Ewan. Like myself and Dom are, because we did say we wanted to see a battle or two here in Italy, and we've been able to get it. Since overtaking Farfu, Liverpool Ewan in that Renault has just gone. Opening up nearly a 2-second over Farfu.
A 1 second lead, yes. 1.1 seconds, and I mean, Farfu is not going to be happy. Farfu was making up for the missing out last week, and now he just looks like he's making up for taking poor points last week instead. I mean, he's really got to be trying to push harder than this, surely.
Well, you do also have to bear in mind, Dom, that James F1 ETC currently in second place has got that 3-second time penalty. So as long as Farfu is able to stay within about a second of Ewan, and Ewan able to stay within about 2 seconds or so of James, both those cars will overtake James at the checkered flag, and Farfu will still be able to retain himself those 10 championship points for finishing in 3rd place.
Yeah, I've also had confirmation from Fairmoto, the sort of league admin, that we are unlikely to see any slicks on this race, so it looks like the green's the whole way. Apparently the rain is going to dry up, but not dry up in a way, but ease off, but not enough to get those slicks on. I mean, with 7 laps remaining, I mean, you ride on board with any one of these drivers and it's still hitting the camera hard, so greens to the end.
Indeed, all these cars will be running those intermediate tyres as we quickly do ride on board with our current race leader, DJ Danny, with a 7-point-second lead over James F1 ETC in second. Liverpool Ewan, our current championship leader, 2.5 seconds further back from James in third, as Danny sets a 129.6. Sets that fastest lap of the Grand Prix here in Italy. Are there any battles that you think we should be looking at on stream, Dom?
Unfortunately, I mean, the only good battle that looks any... El Senado looks like he's retired on the side, by the looks of it.
I think that may have possibly been losing that second Lesmo curve. We have had another virtual safety car here in Italy. This could... saying that the cars at the back of the grid, who are just coming up towards the pit lane now, haven't really been on those tyres long enough to warrant coming back into the pits. But I will say, if I'm CJ Allen, if this is still in play when I get round, is it worth possibly coming in and just serving that 5-second time penalty that he has?
No, it's too far out. It's going to take too long. He might just have to stick with what he's got and hope and pray he's far enough away from Maitland to not do any damage as James F1 ETC picks up a drive-through penalty.
That is going to change the complexion at the front of this race. You will have just seen that at the bottom of the screen, guys. James F1 ETC getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. He just got his foot on that accelerator just that little too early. He is going to serve that drive-through penalty straight away. Of course, that does mean that he is now going to lose significant amount of time, as you have to just drive down the entirety of the pit lane with the pit limiter on. So just bear in mind here, guys, that when James F1 ETC did this, he was in P2. By the time he has come out, he's all the way down now in P8, down in 8th place.
That's without obviously taking into account penalties, but I would just like to take your attention to Saini. He doesn't have a front right wingboard. That came off in between ins, I believe it's 6 and 7, just before just before the right-hander onto the inactive DRS zone in Sector 2. What had happened is he had... Have we just lost Raza to... Oh, okay, so he's retired in the pit lane. That's upsetting. He was on for a decent result there. But yeah, he put too much power down after the safety car went green. The virtual safety car went green, and just sort of spun it, hit the wall. Lucky he didn't lose his wheel and the rest of his wing, but I mean, it's definitely going to hold him.
James picks up another 3-second time penalty here, possibly trying to push that a little bit too much if he can catch back up to those leaders, and it is unfortunately looking to hurt him more than help him, as DJ Danny overtakes the now retired car of Raza. The game, despite Raza retiring from the session, game still deciding it's going to take Raza's car out of the pits and drive it a good 2 or 3 turns before actually removing the car from the race, which isn't ideal, but it is unfortunately what happens in the Formula 1 game, riding on board with our current race leader DJ Danny. 9.2 second lead over his teammate Liverpool Ewan here. The 2 Renault cars really running away with this here, Dom. It's going to be good points for both the Renault drivers in terms of the driver standings, and of course that Constructors' Championship. We were talking before the race, of course, that the top 4 drivers could well be the 2 Renaults and the 2 Alpha Tauri cars, and the could make it a little bit harder for anyone behind to try and see if they can make a charge for those Constructors' Championships, and it looks like our prediction is coming true, mate.
Yeah, I sort of had this in the back of my head that it was going to go this way, and it's going the way I thought it would. Especially in the top 5 anyway. CSR Maitland put in a very good performance last week as well. So I mean, Liverpool Ewan, I'm hoping he catches Danny in a way. For 2 reasons. First of all, that looks like a back marker that is saying now, so he's being overtaken by lappers. Quite quickly here actually. I've just witnessed Farfu pass him, I believe. So there really isn't that much of a difference in gap between everyone. But I was kind of hoping Ewan would be first. That was my prediction. And with the 8-lap-old intermediates in comparison to the 11-lap-old on Danny, he might start to catch. It's anyone's guess here as to whether or not Liverpool Ewan has got it in him to catch his teammate.
Indeed, currently riding on board with Sir Sharks, the closest driver looking able to make an overtake here. CSR Maitland, the car just ahead of Sir Sharks, getting that 3-second time penalty. Again, for just cutting that track just a little bit too much in the Ascari chicane here. Is Sir Sharks going to try and look to make a move here as we move on to lap number 25 here in Monza. DJ Danny currently leading the race with the championship leader Liverpool Ewan 8 seconds behind him in second. Farfu 11 in the Alpha Tauri, currently in third with his teammate CJ Allen in fourth. We are here watching this battle for fifth between Maitland and Sir Sharks, the Haas and the McLaren, as Sir Sharks getting very close now to the back of Maitland. Maitland just touching that grass a little bit too much, didn't want to do that as we come through the Grande curve here on lap 25. Here is Sir Sharks close enough to make a move into turn 4, unfortunately not. Maitland able to hold that position up through that curve. We are going to quickly drop down ever so slightly to Nathan HRX, who is possibly looking to make a move on Stallion here. Is he close enough to that racing point? Unfortunately not, as the cars move through turns 1 and 2 here. I will say Stallion a little bit slow on exit there. Could put himself under a little bit of pressure here coming into the braking zone of turn 4 here, as Nathan HRX moves alongside. Is he going to make that move stick going into turn 4? Was that a little bit of contact between the two drivers there? There may have possibly been the tiniest bit of contact there between Nathan and Stallion. Nathan does, however, make that move stick as the two cars drive through the Lesmo curves now. That is Nathan HRX up into P number 12 here in that Alfa Romeo. Sorry, completely forgot what car that Nathan was driving then. And the racing point of Stallion just behind him now, trying to play the catch-up game.
Yeah, I've had confirmation as to what happened with El Senedo. He is saying that he got brake checked, and that caused his retirement. He also says that he has no evidence for the ticket office, so he's hoping that whoever done it is going to put their hands up and just, you know, admit to their dealings.
So there was a yellow flag up in sector 3 there. I think that may have just been a slow moving Stallion. Can't see any damage to his car. Let's have a quick look at the Haas of St. Johnston behind, just to be sure.
Raza also has confirmed that he retired in the pit lane due to damage on the first lap, which apparently had quote-unquote screwed my race.
That's not the things you want to be hearing as our race leader. DJ Danny starts his final lap of the race here in Monza. Don't think there's going to be enough for Liverpool Ewan to be able to catch him up, but they could be a little tittle here on this final lap. CJ Allen getting very, very close to the rear end of his teammate Farfu here. Could CJ Allen look to try and prevent his teammate from gaining that step on the podium? Saying that though, I do think CJ Allen has got that 5-second penalty, so logic would dictate that he just sits behind his teammate here and just concentrates on that gap to Maitland behind in 5th, ensuring that he is able to consolidate that place. He is currently leading Maitland by 10 seconds, so that should be a nice consolidation there for CJ Allen. Just look to try and get as close to his teammate as possible, close up that gap, and more importantly, bridge that gap to Maitland in P5 to consolidate that P1 as we ride on board with DJ Danny as he comes around the Parabolica for the final time. DJ Danny in the Renault crosses the line and wins here in Italy. Massive congratulations to DJ Danny, our race winner here. Here is his teammate Liverpool Ewan finishing in second with the fastest lap, a 1:1. There is CJ Allen's unserved penalty, but it won't make much of a difference as Maitland is significantly further behind. As Saini decides he's going to go for a little spin as he crosses the line, because he's down in P16, so why not? With penalties, Sir Sharks overtaking Maitland into P5, Botch Gerbil, Maitland in P6, Botch Gerbil P7, James up into 8th, IRL Max in 9th place, and Zach Tom. We will just quickly ride on board with that driver as he comes around the parabolic car under a little bit of pressure from Peach, but it's going to be enough. Zach Tom rounding off your top 10, getting that final championship point for the Mercedes team. Just waiting for the last few back markers to now cross the line.
Yeah, it's
just waiting for St Johnston.
Yeah,
and Stallion, there we go, crossing the line now.
With St Johnston, it was too little, too late. He passed Stallion in sector 2, but with 12 seconds with the time penalties to Stallion's 3, it was, like I said, too little, too late, and he's come down towards the back of the pack.
There we go. Move faster, the last man to cross the line in P15. Dom will try and get our podium finishers, DJ Danny, Liverpool Ewan, and Farfu into the party so we can have a quick chat with them towards the end of the race. That was your Italian Grand Prix. And the guys in chat are saying, what a race indeed. That was a fantastic race. And from me, Kieran92, thank you so much to every single one of those drivers for giving us a very, very entertaining race this evening. We have definitely enjoyed it. Just watching the podium celebrations here now. The two Renault drivers covering each other in champagne. Got to enjoy that moment there. So we'll just give Dom a few seconds to just get those guys involved into the party. As we look at our final race standings here in Monza. DJ Danny takes the win, Liverpool Ewan in second, Farfu in third, CJ Allen, Sir Sharks, Maitland, Botch Gerbil, James F1 ETC, IRL Max, and Zach Tom rounding out the top 10. Peach finishing in P11, Nathan HRX in 12th, Stallion 13th, St Johnston in P14, Mufasta in 15th, Saney finishing a lap down in 16th with Raza El Senedo and Jamie 29X unfortunately unable to finish this race, as we have been joined by our race winner DJ Danny. Congratulations on that win, my friend. How does it feel?
It's long overdue, I think. It's been the first four races. We're in round 5, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
First 4 races have been decent, but not what I've wanted. I think I could have done better in some of the races, but I'm happy with tonight. I think other than going deep into turn 1 on the first lap, I don't think I made any mistakes, so it was kind of a perfect race in that regard. And yeah, just you and nicking the fastest lap off me.
He did on that last lap.
Yeah, I mean, we were trading back and forth, but I kind of wanted to get that fastest lap, but you know, the race win's what matters the most.
Yeah, of course. Dom, have you got any questions for our race winner?
Yeah, so wet qualifying, wet race. What were your thoughts going into both sections?
So yeah, driving in the wet's kind of where I am at my best. Compared to any other drivers, I think I'm pretty decent. I'd like to think anyway. Compared to dry weather anyway. So yeah, I'm quite happy when it's a wet race.
Yeah, obviously you showed your dominance in the wet today here in Italy. Obviously, you've beaten your teammate. You know, you've closed that gap again now on Liverpool Ewan here. How are you feeling being a lot closer to your teammate now in the Drivers' Championship?
Just have to keep closing that gap and hope that I can close it and overhaul it. But obviously Ewan is very quick and has shown that in the first 4 races. So I've just got to keep. Hopefully the rest of the season's wet, and maybe I've got a chance then.
Yeah, well, I mean, the chance of getting all of the races wet is pretty low. Obviously, if I'm not mistaken, we go to Austria, the Red Bull Ring next. Neither of you two are in Red Bull cars, but everyone loves the Red Bull Ring. Chance it could be wet, chance it could be dry. Are you specifically hoping for one over the other?
For the, I think, to be honest, I'm happy with either around there. Austria's quite a nice track to drive, so I think either or.
Awesome, thank you. And congratulations for P1 tonight. I am unfortunately unable to get Farfu in for an interview tonight, which means we move to Liverpool U102, who is our final interviewee for the night. Interviewee? I believe that's what it is. Interview for the night. I only have one question for you, pal. How are you feeling after that long last push against your teammate?
Yeah, I mean, quali went well, managed to get pole on my last lap, so I was happy with that, and then got a really bad start, got loads of wheel spins and dropped down a few positions, but if it wasn't for that, I still think Danny would have won today. Yeah, he was a lot quicker than me. But yeah, I was happy to get fastest lap on the last lap, so I think that'll be 13 points or whatever the point for the fastest lap, so yeah, just got to keep it consistent, I suppose. But yeah, Danny definitely deserved the win tonight.
So a quick one from me, Ewan. What was going through your mind as your wheels were spinning from the start there, and you could see those cars sort of going past you? What was going through your head? Were you thinking, I need to try and get these guys back now, or were you sort of trying to look to play the long game?
So I think initially I just sort of thought to myself, just let go of the throttle because I didn't want to spin the car. So I was happy losing a couple of positions if it meant that I didn't retire. And then yeah, I think I wanted to get far through early on because I knew Danny would have been, and I wanted to try and keep up with him. But to be fair, I just didn't have the pace at all. I managed to get far through in the second stint, and then Danny had to pit because I think he got a penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So yeah, second was all I could manage. But yeah.
So that was a positive performance for you guys in that constructor standings as well. Obviously with the race win for Danny and the second place and fastest lap for yourself, you, and that is going to be 28 points that you guys have been able to add onto your scores, with only the 18 gained by the AlphaTauri team. So it's an additional 10 points that you guys have got now, so that's a 54-point lead at the top of the constructor standings. Are you looking to try and see if you can sort of close out this constructor standings sort of sooner rather than later?
I'm not sure what Danny thinks, but I'll just take each race as it comes. I think we're nearly at the halfway point now, and yeah, we've got a solid little gap. And I've said to you guys before, I'm not gonna not fight Danny. You know, to not risk anything. I'm gonna take risks, but at the same time, I'm not gonna blow everything away. Got to be smart with it all. Got to be sensible. But yeah, no, it's a nice little gap we have. Hopefully, we can keep on building it up, and yeah, take the constructors.
Are you Rosberg or Hamilton?
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, I mean, I thought we were doing the interviews, but I mean, it looks like the teammates are going to do it for us. Awesome. Oh, but seriously, well done, guys. You both gave us, you gave a good performance, a great show, and it kept us on our toes for most of it. Obviously, when you passed Farfu, I was kind of watching something else at the exact same time, but I mean, I sort of clicked it just at the end, and I was in awe about how fast you sort of dive bombed him into the chicanes. Like Kieran said, you're both running on with the Constructors Championship now. We're almost at halfway week break. Time for you to start relaxing a little bit. Now you know you've got the Constructors Championship pretty much nailed.
I don't think relax. Because of course there's still plenty to fight for, especially in the drivers as well. And I think, you know, there's 2 drivers in the constructors, so the gap isn't as big as it actually seems. There's still good teams like Williams, AlphaTauri. So I don't think we can sort of relax. But Yeah, no, it's definitely good to be going into the break with a bit of a gap in both standings, I suppose, for me.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I just remembered as well, if I'm not mistaken, this result might put you in the top 3, or even top of the most amount of points picked up in the first, I think it was 5 races for the first half of the season. How's that making you feel, knowing that you're in with some of the best races that Invictus Racing League have ever had?
Wow, I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I suppose it's really good form, but I think you can be quick but not be consistent. You know, you have to sort of keep the consistency as well, not get penalties, which I think I've definitely got better at. I've always had the pace, I feel, but I've just not been consistent. My decision making hasn't been too good, but I think I've sort of got all of it now, and overall I'm just driving a lot better. And yeah, that's all I'll be looking to do, just keep it consistent and then see where I end up.
Awesome. Thank you boys for joining us tonight, and Barfu, if you're watching, well done. Congratulations for a podium position, and we hope to see you again in Austria, maybe getting you in for an interview. And I'm going to leave it to Kieran to round off the rest of the Invictus Racing League for this evening.
Thank you very much, Dom. As Dom said, a massive congratulations again to our podium here in Italy. This does now bring us to the end of this evening's broadcast. A massive thank you to every single one of you who has joined us this evening and continued to show support to IRL. The IRL XBOX League is back on your screens this Thursday as Andrew makes his IRL comms debut in the Realistic Performance League. Dom and I will be back on your screens next Tuesday night with the F1 XBOX League, so please join us then. But for more IRL racing action, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/InvictusRL. Follow us on Twitter @InvictusRL, on Instagram @InvictusRacingLeague, and be sure to check out the website InvictusRacingLeague.com. But until next time, from myself, Kieran Wright 92, and Dom the Noodle, thank you for watching. Good night.